Hello, everybody. Welcome to another session here at the Kickpod podcast, the podcast dojo for inspirational martial arts talk. I am your host, TJ Williams, here to give you the insider of my martial arts journey, discussing and analyzing martial arts based subjects and highlighting individuals involved in martial arts of all styles, past, present, and future. All right, for those who just joined me for the first time this new year of 2023, this is a pre recorded episode. So, whatever I talk about in this episode is either coming up or it's already passed. And just to give you a heads up of what's going on so far in this new year, we're pretty much in the third week of the new year. All right, so of course a lot of positive things happening, a lot of negative things happen, but of course in this new year we always got to think positive. And of course right now, just thinking about it, the Bills are pretty much making an impact as they're going against the Miami Dolphins. And from what I hear, the game is pretty much over, and Buffalo is on advancing forward into the Super Bowl playoffs. So, and also just on a sad note, for those who have followed the entertainment business, of course, we lost a pioneer in the entertainment business. Of course, you know her as the daughter of Elvis Presley. Lisa Marie Presley has passed away due to a heart attack. And we all send our prayers to the Presley family, of course, Priscilla. And but just on a good note, she is finally with her father, Elvis, and likely she might run into Michael Jackson. Yeah, so that's just like his song says, "You are not alone." Yeah, so let's think it positive. All right, so kind of get on with this episode. Of course, I got another guest. This is yet episode 115. All right, this my guest comes from Kenbuck, Maine, because he has 26 years of martial arts experience. He is the co-instructor of T's. Did I say that right? T's
Yeah, yes.
Taekwondo. Yeah, got it. Taekwondo, teaching for 13 years, and of course he holds a third dan in Taekwondo, and also he has a first Q in Japanese martial or Japanese Karate Association, and he's on his way to be part of the Japanese Karate Association U.S. team. So
Hopefully,
you, yeah, hopefully that's
hopefully.
a so so I like to introduce everybody to Andrew Evans. So he agreed to get on the show and tell us his story. So of course, people that want to hear good stories, you might want to kind of listen on this one. So thank you very much for joining me, Andrew. So how are you today?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me. It's a great opportunity, honestly, to do this. I don't talk about myself too much when it comes to martial arts and stuff like that. And when you reached out to me in November, I was actually at the Nationals in New Orleans, and I thought, I'm on a high point. I'd really like to talk to somebody because throughout my life, martial arts has been a huge impact in my life, and it's carried me to multiple pathways in my life. And I figure if I can talk about my journey, I could hopefully get more people involved in the martial arts. I don't really care which martial art it is, just if they get it involved in their life is super important. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I can super agree with you. I mean, of course, martial arts has brought me to my high points, and pretty much right now, I'm on a verge of becoming the master rank in my style. So hopefully, I could get elected or get selected this year to be promoted to fifth degree. So I'm fingers crossed with that. So I mean, I've pretty much been on a good path so far. So that's what I'm pretty much focused. I can totally agree with what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so let's kind of get to the first question since we're highlighting you. Well, how would you say, how would you describe yourself before martial arts, or basically, who were you before?
Well, I was six. I was 6 years old. I started in 1996. My dad actually got me involved. I would say I was very timid, a very timid child. I didn't like loud, aggressive things. I didn't like to roughhouse too much. I didn't like to do too much of anything. Uh, I would say that. I would say I was a very timid child at the beginning.
Yeah. Oh well, definitely. I definitely started in 1996 as well. I started like late 1996. So basically, me and you have that same 26 years experience.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. But I mean, I started when I was like 10 years old. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it kind of takes its toll on my body right now. I mean,
Mm,
currently right now I'm just recovering from a knee injury. So
yeah.
and then this I'm pretty much recovered very well. I mean, I had the surgery like 4 months ago, and pretty much without this 4 months, due also with the help of being a fitness instructor, I mean, I feel like I'm recovering very well. Yeah,
That's
usually,
awesome.
yeah, usually they say for but patellar tendon rupture, it usually takes like 6 months to a year to recover. So I'm basically 2 months away from actually being full recovers, or let's see how I am in 2 more months.
Yeah, the knee. I saw that. I saw your knee injury. I saw that video. I was like, oh my god, it was very scary. Did you hyperextend it, or how did it actually happen?
Well, from looks of the video, it's like either I feel like I jumped too close to ropes, and
Yeah,
either
I
my
saw that.
yeah, either my foot got caught in there and then it just pulled, or
Mhm.
the fact that I think I jumped too much, or either jumped
Mhm.
too hard, and then from there it's just I think it just like ruptured. Yeah.
Yeah. I was
So
watching that video. I was like, oh, he's gonna go over the top rope. I was looking for it. I was like, oh, here we go. And then I saw it, and then I had to rewatch it because when I saw your knee, I was like, oh my god. It was very. It made my stomach turn a little bit when I saw it. Honestly.
yeah, I mean, just thinking about it, it's got almost like a nightmare. It's like just getting an
Yeah,
injury and then of course not be able to do anything for 2 months.
that's
And
the
then
worst. That's
yeah.
the worst. Yeah, yeah.
All right. So what was the one thing that kind of got you into martial arts? Well, what was the
Uh,
one interest?
well, like I said, my father got me into it. My older brother was originally in it, and then he started getting into trouble, and his grades were going down in school. So I was going back and forth with my dad to my brother's classes, but I was also like a really big fan of the original Power Rangers. The original Power Rangers. Rest in peace, Tommy and Jason. Unfortunately, the he was a big inspiration. The Green Ranger, the Red Ranger, Billy the Blue Ranger, all of them were major inspirations for me when I was younger. And that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be basically a Power Ranger. So my dad said, "Well, Michael, my brother is leaving, so let's sign you up as soon as you turn 6." So May of 1996, like within the next week after my birthday, my dad brought me to my first class.
Yeah, and definitely just kind of bring me to almost like my next question. I mean, well, how do you describe your first lesson?
I actually I have a very very good memory of the past, and I can describe my first class. I was very scared to get on the floor. We didn't have mats at the time. All we had was a cement floor with a rug on top of it. That's all it was.
Hmm.
So as soon as I got on the rug, I was very timid. So I ran back to my dad, and then this girl who was a blue belt, who was another good inspiration for me at the time. Her name was Trina. Dragged me, 6-year-old me, onto the floor and started showing me the first pattern, Chungji. She tried the best she could to actually show me the pattern, and I couldn't. I couldn't get it, so I started to cry. So I ran back to my dad, and I was like, "Can we leave?" And he's like, "No, we came all this way. You're not leaving. We gotta stick it through." And class started, and my instructor, his name was Sabum Vu Quam, originally from Vietnam, uh, brought me, put me in the back row, and he asked me my name to announce it to the whole class, and I couldn't really speak, so I was just like Andrew underneath my breath, and he's like, "No, say it loud, say it proud." So I yelled Andrew, and that was the first thing. And as soon as we warmed up, we did exercises. The first thing he put me in was like a sparring set. Like that was the very first thing he did, and he put me with the girl named Trina. And the one thing I remember is slamming my back against the brick wall because she sidekicked me and put me into the wall. And I was only 6 years old, and I didn't have any fighting gear on. And then Sabum Vu just goes, "You need to relax. Don't hit him so hard." And I ended up leaving. And when I went home, my dad asked me, "So are you sure this is what you want to do?" And I said, "Yeah, I want to be a Power Ranger. That's what I want to do." So that was the first day.
Yeah, it's like a lot of us, we can't remember our first our first lesson, our first class. Well, for me, I mean, I remember my first class. I mean, and yeah, you talk about the carpet floor over the cement. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's basically how I used to train. But like
yeah,
now we have like padded floors. But
right.
I can remember starting. I didn't have no gi yet, so
No,
I had like pretty much sweatpants and a shirt, and of
right,
course I developed a cold. I mean, it wasn't too major, but I was like I started with a cold, and
right.
yeah, I mean, I wasn't trying to get anybody sick, But yeah,
Right, right.
and also yeah, Power Rangers was my inspiration. Of course, I was lucky enough to actually meet Jason David Frank. So
Oh,
it
I,
was
I wish I could have. I wish I could have before you left.
yeah, yeah, pretty much because of him, I went almost like on a pilgrimage to meet like the rest of the Power Rangers. So it's basically him. Then it was Austin St. James, St. John's, and then of course the Black Ranger, the other Black Ranger, and it was going for like pretty much the last person that I thought was going to meet was Kimberly, but it wasn't. I mean,
No.
I ended up meeting the other Pink Ranger as well as the other Yellow Ranger, and that was like the last group of Power Rangers I made. So I got Power Rangers from the original, and then I got from Power Rangers Zeo or Turbo. So
Oh yeah,
yeah, yeah, so definitely the original Power Rangers I grew up with. So it was just like that was like the amazing part of my inspiration of getting the
yeah,
martial arts. Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. All right. So of course, what was like your mindset? Oh yeah, you already talked about your mindset. Like when your father asked you, like, do you want to do this? And then you said,
Yeah, you
yeah,
sure? Are you sure you want to do this? Yeah, because my dad's main thing was once you start something, you can't stop. So he's a big proponent on not quitting something when you start it. So my dad said that once you take this journey, the only way that you're going to be able to stop is when you earn your black belt and you decide whether you're going to go farther or if you turn 18. He said that's it. Those are the only two options you have if you want to leave. So I didn't leave.
yeah. I mean, most people, yeah, they get their first degree, and then the next you don't see them again because they don't want to build up. And
I'm gonna get into that a little bit because I did take a year off, and that was when I really chose my path. I would say on
yeah,
what I needed to do.
yeah. So I mean, yeah. Once I kind of yeah, kind of relate to all that, like you got black belts, they get their black belt, next they disappear, and
Right.
probably years later they say they want to get back to it, and then of course they had pretty much have to start over because with our style, we are pretty much evolving or modifying everything. So
Right.
things are really discussed between the board of directors of UFAF, that's our organization, United Fine Arts Federation, and
Mm-hmm.
of course they pretty much say change things in katas, and then of course if former black belts decide to come back, we pretty much have to reteach them everything that's was changed in the kata.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. All right. So of course you say you have a story of like you say you took a break from karate, then
Mhm.
so what would you say that your story would be?
Uh, well, there's a black belt question, right? About the black belt on there. It would be better explained if we wait until we get to the black belt question, honestly,
Yeah.
because it follows up right around that. But I can get into it now if you'd like me to.
Well, yeah, that kind of also. Well, I'm going to talk about your favorite moment, and then, of course, describe your black belt test. So let's before we get to that, but let's say what's your favorite moment in martial arts right now?
Uh, well, actually, it wasn't my black belt. It wasn't my test. To me, it's my training. It's not the fabric around my waist. It's the training that I carry with me, either in my head or the memories of training with certain people. But the biggest moment is when my original instructor gave me my nickname, which was Tree, and then I got my tattoo here of a bonsai tree to represent the nickname that he gave me. And it's a silly story, but he gave it to me because he had gotten into a car accident like 2 weeks before that. He hit a tree, and he said he was hitting me. We were doing conditioning, and he was hitting me to the body. And he goes, "Oh, Tree, you're good, Tree. You don't move like a tree." So he started calling me Tree.
Oh,
Uh,
oh,
yeah. So instead of calling me Andrew, or he used to call us just by our belts. So he would go red belt or green belt or something like that because he'd forget the name real quick because there was so many students. But then it just became Tree. My nickname was Tree for a long, long time until he left us in 2008.
uh, man, I'll be lucky enough to get a nickname. I mean, I'd be surprised if I do get a nickname sooner or later. I mean, mostly I could say I'd be referred to like as Mr. Williams or just or sir or somebody. Just I didn't get no nickname, so yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You'll get one. I bet you'll get one. I
Yeah.
bet eventually sometime. Yeah.
Well, unless I use my wrestling gimmick, that'd be good.
What's that? What's your wrestling? gimmick.
Oh, I went like the first off. I went to as the arcade. That's
I
my
like that.
gimmick.
I
Yeah,
like that though, especially the way you spell it. I like that. It's good.
yeah. It's like I kind of like switched up to the video game warrior, so that pretty much fits with my gimmick.
Yeah, that it does. It's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. All right, so let's kind of describe your first black belt test.
Well, traditionally with Sabum Vu, it's a black belt test is 8 hours long.
Ooh,
So yeah, it sucks. The it's a physical because he was in the special forces in Vietnam. That's where he learned Taekwondo first. It was during the Vietnam War. His group was called like the Zombie Team, but it was in Vietnamese. I don't unfortunately I don't know that term. He had a tattoo on his arm of his division, and when he came back, his major thing when he came to America, his major thing when he started teaching Taekwondo was that a black belt needs to be able to defend themselves. It's not just in Asian cultures across the seas, a black belt is just the beginning, which it is. Truly, it is. It's just the beginning of your learning. But with Sabum Vu, it was a black belt in his school needed to be able to defend themselves against somebody outside, a real attack. So his thought process was that 8 hour test, if you can survive that, you can put your mind to anything and be able to do anything. Because it's scary thinking about 8 hours as a test. The first 2 to 3 hours is just straight physical, like working out and stuff like that. So it's really physically demanding. This is before you actually get into your techniques and setups like that. I was with I was with Kyle, who actually just did the 8 hour test just to earn his red belt. He didn't get his black belt. He only wanted to participate in the test because he wanted the experience. That was it. So he tested 8 hours just for his red belt. There was Megan, my younger brother Jacob, Churn T, who's the instructor now, and then myself. So we actually all tested at the same time. The year I took off is the reason why I'm not, the same level as Churn T. It was very hard. It was physically demanding, but it gave me that sense of accomplishment that I needed to push forward within my life, and we still keep to that tradition today. So we do 8 hour tests to our black belts. It's just not as we don't hit anybody with a stick or something like that. I don't whack them with stuff like that. But that was it.
yeah. I can pretty much relate to that because our black belt test usually is like I said, our traditional martial arts is just like changing. I mean, mostly, yeah, it's based on endurance.
Yes.
How you expect to defend yourself if you got or you're all full of energy. I mean, you got to at least test your endurance because usually what I
Right.
teach my students, like if we're going over like certain exercises, I mean, you want to make sure you do those exercises correctly, and of
Right.
course, when you're training, you're not training your martial arts techniques, you're also training your endurance. So I usually
Yeah.
tell students that are like in the like red belt level, that's pretty much our highest level. It's like
Right.
start working on your endurance because you're going to need that for the black belt test. It's
Yeah.
like I can say honestly, I can truly remember my fourth degree test. That was my last physical test, and
Mm-hmm.
the testing board wasn't going to get me off that easy. So they were really trying to torture me, and there was times I feel like I was going to toss my grits,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and that. But
I,
yeah,
I did that. I did that in my black belt test. My Churn T, he I was like, I don't. Man, at the beginning, I was like, man, I'm so tired. Like, before the test even started, I was like, I didn't sleep well, I didn't eat well, I'm tired. He bought me. Do you remember? I don't know if you're from Canada, right?
I'm from the U.S. I'm close to
Oh, are you?
Canada.
Oh, okay. The Do you remember the soda Volt? Like
Oh
the energy.
yeah.
He bought me two big ones, right? Yeah. He bought me two big ones, and he's like, here, just in case you want it. He put them in the cooler, and we go get a drink, and I was like, man, I want something other than water. It's like 3 hours in, just 3 hours in, and I chug it like an idiot. I chug the Volt, and I just start feeling it. The next hour, I start feeling it and feeling it. So I raise my hand. I'm like, Sabum, I think I'm gonna throw up. So I shoot. I run into the bathroom, and like 15 minutes, they get a break because they're waiting. He's waiting for me to come back because he doesn't want to do the test without me involved. So they get a break for 15 minutes while I'm in the bathroom dying. So as soon as I come back, uh, I'm like, my stomach hurts from heaving and hoeing and all that stuff, and they got a nice 15-minute break. I was just
Oh,
like, oh my god, yeah.
yeah. I guess for your style, you don't have to worry about travel to other places just to test, right?
Uh, we not for when Sabum Vu was there. When our most recent test in 2021, we actually had people come to us, um, just because it was easier for them because they were all in different areas. Some were in New Hampshire. The other one was in a different part of Maine. Another one was from a different part of Maine, but they came to our dojang and then they tested us there. That was our last one.
Yeah, of course, for my organization, of course, we're broke up in regions. Of course, in our region, we have like three schools. I mean, basically, my school that I go to in Niagara Falls. Then, of course, there's either a school in West Virginia, and then, of course, Boston. So my
Cool.
last test was in Boston. So me and my master instructor, we both drove from Niagara Falls to Boston from midnight to 7 o'clock in the morning. So
Did you train that same day too? Like in the set? Did you?
oh yeah, I like as soon as we arrived there, we started the
Oh.
test. Yeah, yeah. So luckily, I got enough sleep in the car, or before we kind of went driving off to Boston. So I mean, I kind of felt sorry that my master was driving the whole time. I mean, I could have
Yeah.
like switched it up because
Right. Right.
I was well awake, but nevertheless, I know I just we drove there, did the test, which is probably like roughly like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, because it was me and three other people. And I
Mhm.
was testing for like for a fourth grade. They was testing for like for a third. So, and like I said, I was getting the worst of it because it was my final test. So they weren't gonna let me off easy. And
No. Right.
so the stuff that was on my test, I was doing that, and then they doing add-ons. Like they had me do a kata that wasn't on the test, and plus they had me do sparring combinations that wasn't on the test.
Right.
And then, of course well, of course, they was having me like do all these drills and all this stuff. They really wanted to work me, but
Yeah.
I know I wasn't gonna quit. This is like my last final test, and
Right.
I was gonna. Well, let's look this way. I don't have to test physically for my fifth degree. I just all I gotta do is do a low performance, and then I get my blackjack, and then I'm master rank.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I mean, all that hard work, that's what it's for. You put forth that dedication to kind of, it shows the experience, it shows the wisdom. It's really good. I think it's super important, especially since you put in all that effort to not only drive there, but then the hours of testing, the little switch ups to trick you. I think that's a really important piece of testing is that tiny bit of mental manipulation to try and trick either your student or whatever it is, because it's important to everyday life stuff too. Like if somebody's trying to get one over on you, let's say, uh, you should be able to be prepared for it. I think it's important.
Yeah, and the thing that sucked about my test, of course, the school that I went to used to be an old bank, and the ceiling was like extremely low, and I had to do like a weapons kata, and
Oh yeah,
I was worried about hitting the ceiling, but
yeah,
I was like they like try to put me in like a spot where the bow won't hit the ceiling. So
right, right.
yeah,
Yeah, it's difficult.
uh, uh, all right. So of course you mentioned you took a break after you got in your black belt, and of course you had some life experience. Like, well, can you like basically describe that?
So after I earned my black belt in 2000, I want to say 2007 or late 2006, I can't remember. I took like a year off, I think like 2008, because my instructor, Sabum Vu at the time, had decided that he was going to leave to New York, just kind of up and leave us to do better things in New York. He was going through some weird things in his life, and he decided that he wanted to move away from it. Ultimately, it was a bad decision on his part. We don't communicate with him anymore, but I still love and respect him um, as he was. I would say. Um, but I was like, he's leaving. I don't want to do this. If he's not here, he was my main instructor. I don't want to do this. So I left, not knowing that Churn T was going to take over fully yet. I didn't understand yet, really. I kind of figured he was going to, but I didn't really know. So I was already kind of involved with a group, I'll say, uh, kind of selling narcotics and doing things on the side. I was uh, I was involved with a lot of negative things, and it kind of came with that ego of, I can do whatever I want. I train my whole life. I'm big. I'm strong. I can do what I want, type thing. Which at the time I was not big and strong. I was a very thin, uh, didn't know much type of kid. And within the first week of taking Taekwondo off, I was done. Um, I was at the mall in Portland, and somebody pulled a knife out on me, and my instant reaction wasn't very intelligent. I kicked the knife out of his hand, and I cut my left leg open, and I still have the scar. I just missed the vein that leads into your foot, and somebody called the cops within the mall, obviously, because a kid pulled out a knife, and I ran. I kept running, and my foot filled up with blood. My shoe was filled with blood as I was running, and I just was thinking about everything of my training. I was just like, man, I'm not prepared. I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't prepared for a weapon in that situation at all. Um, so I started carrying around a knife with me just in case something would happen. And I kind of put my martial arts self to the side, and it was just like, well, whatever happens, happens. I'm making money. I'm doing what I need to do. I'll do what I want. And this is all in the span of a year. All in the span of the year that this is going on. Um, so later on down the road, I'm getting more involved. I'm meeting people. I'm doing enforcement type things, which is like being with a dealer and making sure it goes down correctly. And I end up robbing. I end up stealing this person's money that I was with, that I was enforcing with. I'll call him Chris. Okay, Chris was a friend of mine since like middle school, and he he uh, he kind of got me involved in everything. Kind of showed me the easy ways to make money. We started out with marijuana, and then we moved on to, because it was illegal at the time here. Marijuana was illegal at the time here, and then he got me into harder stuff like methamphetamine and then pills, and we started selling it around Portland and stuff like that. And he one of these days he called me on it, and he said, "Did you steal this much money from me? Because I'm missing this much money." It was like $200. It wasn't something that we couldn't get back. The reason why I'm saying this is because of what ended up happening. For this $200, almost killed me. I almost died. Um, because I'm in this group, there's no police. We don't call police. We don't call 911. We don't do any of that. Anything that happens, we deal with. I never got stitches for my leg. I never got stitches for anything. And I'm not even 18 yet. I'm still a kid. And I was selling in the back parking lot of Portland Mall, by the dumpsters. It was like a clothing shop, and that would be my spot to where I would sell, was by the dumpsters there. And people that knew me knew that I was there, and they would come pick up. And I was talking to somebody, and what I didn't know is that this person was creating a distraction. And all I feel is a boom, like that, a boom. And out of shock, I run. I just run because I don't know what happened. I think I'm being jumped, so I just run, and I run away, and I keep running, and I keep running, and I feel something hot going down my leg, from my leg. I keep running, I keep running, I keep running, and finally I get to, how on highways there's the turnoff. You keep going down the highway, then there's the turnoff. There's usually like a wooded area or like a grassy area. In Maine, it's a wooded area. So I ran into like that, where I thought, oh, they're not going to find me here. And then I feel it. I was stabbed. I was stabbed between my legs, from where my groin is to where my leg is, stabbed. Bam. One time, just one time, but it was directly up. It wasn't deep enough to do major damage, but I was bleeding profusely. Like I knew that I was in trouble. And I didn't realize that it was over $200. $200 they did this. And I was just thinking to myself, now we're in like it's winter time because it's almost 2008 at this point. So I'm cold. I'm cold. I'm losing blood. I don't know what to do. So I call somebody within the group and I say, come get me. And they go, oh, I'm with Chris. I'm with Chris right now. And I go, where are you guys? And they go, oh, we just left Portland Mall. So that they're telling me that they did this. And so now I don't, who am I going to call? What am I going to do? So I call my, one of my old friends from high school, and they come get me. I didn't know what to do. I put we had rags and stuff. I took my shirt off and I like balled it up and pressed it against the area. And I kind of just sat on it. I have a scar like that big from where it cut and where the puncture actually happened. The puncture was probably only like that deep, but it's right near a vital area. You know what I mean? The artery that goes down your leg, like the groin, everything, it's right there. So now I'm thinking to myself, I need to get out. Like I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I can't, I'm going to die. Either I'm going to go to jail or I'm going to die. One of the two things. And then I get a phone call like the next day. It's Churn T. And he goes, I need an assistant. And I was wondering if you want to do that. This is a year later. This is after he had taken over. And he had already run the school for quite a while. He was doing it. He was taking over from Mr. Vu, and the students. He was kind of he worked. We always work. We don't make profit off of the school. We work separate jobs. So he was working mornings and the midnight shift to pay for the school, but also pay for his life, obviously. And he's like, I need an assistant. I can't do this alone. Do you want to do it? And I said, yeah, I think I need to do this because I need to get out. And in 2008, a week later, still recovering, I popped into the school, and that was it. That was the moment that changed my life. So the experiences that I had within that year of either getting jumped or getting into fights or altercations over something as simple as like $5 or something like that. Just little things that had to escalate based on the situation or the activity that we were involved in. Most of the time, my training saved me a lot. But what I realized is that only with distance was I was able to control my opponent. But whenever there was either multiple opponents or a weapon was involved or it was coming from a different angle, I was definitely not ready for that type of situation. So I made it a point starting from 2009 to really focus on that part of my martial art. So the self-defense, the realistic street type thing that you might encounter, not necessarily like, WTF Taekwondo or tricking is known for doing spin kicks like this. And it's cool, it's awesome, but it's not going to save you from an altercation, whether it be multiple people or a weapon involved. So that's where I really started taking it more seriously, is because of that scenario and stuff that I had to deal with. Well, I put myself in, to be honest, obviously. I put myself in the situation. It was my fault. But you never know when it's not your fault. You never know when the altercation is somebody trying to hurt you or mug you or raw or just having a bad day and they decide they're going to take it out on you. You should be prepared to deal with that situation. Whether you win or lose, you just need to survive. That's the main thing, and that's the main story of how I got to where I am today.
And, well, I have to give you credit that like not a lot of people would like have the courage to talk about their past, and especially if they lived in a bad pretty much in a bad situation. I grew up in like kind of like in a bad area. I was like that one kid that like if see something cool, then I kind of almost join the crowd. But yet, I was of course raised by a single mother and two older siblings, but mostly when my mother worked, like she
Right.
worked two jobs like back when I was a kid. And of course, it was like my brother and sister that pretty much raised me. And likely my father wasn't always around. I mean, but no, I get to see him sometimes, but nevertheless, there were like the two people that kind of got me almost out of trouble.
Yeah.
And of course, yeah, I just don't want to be in that crowd. But I mean, I'm grateful that you tell that story, but you know how people are like, if they hear a story like that, it's like once a criminal, always a criminal. But yet,
I've had thank you for saying that. From the I would say all the way up until 2013, from 2009 to 2013, that's basically how I was treated. I didn't take honestly I didn't take it too like my martial arts super seriously until I would say 2013. When I got out of the group, um, I started gaining weight in 2010. I'm 155 right now. I think I got up to like 215, and I was just eating my feelings, eating everything like that, and kind of not pushing myself to lose the weight. I didn't have any focus on doing that. It was kind of just teach what you know, and then leave type thing. You're out, so why? Who cares? You're not part of the group anymore. You're just doing what you're doing. You got a job. You're good. You're fine. Who cares, right? But the more that I could hear people talking in the background, the more I could hear, well, maybe I don't want to leave my son with him. You know what I mean? Or maybe I don't want to leave maybe my daughter shouldn't work with Mr. Evans. Maybe just with Mr. T. You know, um, because I had my group related tattoos that I now have covered up, or I had scars on my face from past fights, or like I mean, I have a little bit now, stuff like that, but they were like fresh, and yeah, I would hear it hurt because it was from uh, people that I knew before I left. You know what I mean? It was from people that knew me before I left, and then because I decided to go down this not so great path, now they all of a sudden think that I am that person that I'm not anymore. You know what I mean? It was only for a short amount of time, but just that little bit changed their opinion completely of me. Now I'm a criminal. Now I'm a now I'm a gangbanger. Now I'm a violent person, which I'm not. I'm not a violent person. I can turn it on and off when sparring or something like that. But overall, I don't get angry easy. So it hurt. But where we're at now, and where everything is at now, I would do it all over again in a heartbeat. Absolutely.
yeah, of course, with me when I started teaching, I had to deal with kids whose parents were like in the drugs, or they were have like not having a good situation with the law. So I had to not worry about like the parent situation. I can worry about like getting the kid to go on the right path. So
Yeah, that's tough.
I basically tell them like, you know, this is how you're going to get better. This is how you're going to be a good person. I always tell them about protocol, like definitely with our traditional kata or traditional martial arts. I teach them how to bow
Mm-hmm.
and properly. I teach them how to exercise properly. I mean, I tell them if you want to get good at something, you got to make sure you train. And I say
Absolutely.
reason why do we train? We train to get better, and we train to prepare. It's better to prepare for an opportunity when you don't have one, other
Right.
than having an opportunity and not being prepared. So yeah,
Absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so for me, I'm always prepared for my students, before I come in an hour before class, and I kind of go over with myself what I want to go over with the kids. I mean, especially whatever belt level they're going for. And at the same time, I'm preparing myself for myself because I'm also a student.
Right.
I may be a black belt, but I'm still a student. I'm still learning. And even
100%.
if I get promoted to fifth degree, I'm still going to be learning because
Yeah.
at least of course with this podcast, I'm going beyond learning like other styles, like not just physically but mentally.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the best part is when you're learning, just learning in general. It doesn't matter if it's, excuse me, physically or mentally or what it is. If you're learning something and you're getting experience out of it, that's the best thing. That's the coolest thing is learning something.
Yeah, especially with my experience having an injury, I go kind of going into anatomy a little bit. So I teach students like, always take care of your body well. It's
Right.
especially with me being a fitness instructor, I always talk about nutrition. You want to make sure you have the eat the right things before you actually get in a physical activity.
Right.
Like yesterday when I was teaching, I asked my my students or my instructors who is out for surgery, and of course he's coming back next week, and I always tell them like, what do you eat for breakfast? And they usually say cereal.
Yeah.
Cereal is good if you're not doing physical activity, but if you're doing physical activities, you want to have like good sugar, but cereal
Right.
bad, it's bad sugar. It'll
Right. Right.
You'll drop faster than a fly. So yeah. Yeah. All right, man. We definitely moving wrong with this. Okay. Tell me, like, of course, you were becoming an assistant. So, of course, like, how many students that you have in your school right now?
Right now, I would say we moved in 2021 from our old location that since Sabumvu left us. Um, and it was a very small space. We moved to probably one that was about double the size. And since then, now being on Main Street, I would say we have close to 30 to 35 students total right now. I think.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I stopped yawning so much, but
That's all right.
I'm
That's
good.
all right.
Yeah. So, of course, how many black belts have you produced since you started assisting?
Uh, let's see. Before Sabumbu left, he had five. Let's see, Mike. He had four on the docket to test after he left. Those are the first of Churn T's production. I don't count those as mine. My father is on that list, but I don't count that as mine. Um, the Because I had just come back, like I said, off that year, so I had just come back. Um, I would say I would say total I have four on the other end, so eight since he took over that I was a part of, but four that I actually had help in. I would say.
Hey, all right. So, other than your instructor, who else do you look up to?
Oh. uh, I there's a lot of people in my life that give me not only give me strength but give me like push and drive. Obviously, my father, Sabum Vu, who was like my second father. Um, I don't consider, although Churn T is my instructor, he's more of like my brother. He's not really my instructor because like I said, we grew up. It was together. We did everything together. We tested together. He took over. He's higher than me. He's a fourth. I'm a third, but he still instructs me. But he's more like my brother. He pushes me a lot when it comes to getting the next level, whether it be a rank or actually like pushing to the next step. My students, all of my students, really keep me going, push my drive, um, and my current training partners in JKA as well. My teammates specifically really help out a lot. When I did nationals in JKA, we did team kata, and we earned second against everybody in nationals. There was no like our division; it was black belt team kata, and we earned second against the top team for America, which was pretty cool. We lost by only a few points, so I was very, very satisfied. Those two, Ben and Michael, they give me a lot of drive as well.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, you gotta have like all like group of people that can really keep you going. You just can't have deal with one person. You just gotta have like a line of people. For, like, of course, for me, of course, I have my father, my normal jit father. You know, he's kind of going on a good path, and of course, I have my second father, my master instructor. You know, I call him my karate pops,
Yeah,
and of course, right now he's recovering from surgery. So he should be returning soon. So that's a plus. And of course,
yes,
I had my original first instructor. Of course, I've known him like, of course, when I started, and he still does it. And he's pretty much the reason why I got my new job because he works at the same company. So it's
mm,
like feels like he got my back, and that's like I'm grateful for that. It's like I'm getting a better job right now,
yeah,
and I'll be able to at least pay for my surgery, get that out of the way. I
right,
mean,
right,
as you're lucky enough to have like a good insurance that like pays like majority of the surgery, and then you have to deal with the other side. But
right,
yeah, of course, yeah. So I can see that always the inspiration you need. Like as many people to keep you motivated and say keep you on that good path. All right.
definitely.
All right. So oh yeah, and you also mentioned about competition. You know, I have been competing a long time. You know, I used to compete like in like our local tournaments, and of course there was like Smack Internationals and
Mhm.
Kumite Classics. Yeah, those like the two that I like compete in. And you know, of course I got trophies in that, but yeah, I do my best. You know, it's
Right,
always fun seeing like other people compete, and you know, you try to figure out what kata they're doing to see if it's similar to your kata or
right,
your style. Yeah, it's like
right, right,
I've seen so many guys do like the like katas that I'm familiar with, and I had to go over and talk to them. It's like
right, right,
it's like I'm familiar with that kata. It's like what's the name of that kata? It's like that looks amazing.
right. Yeah, we have one coming up in March. It's called the Battle of Maine. It's the largest one in obviously it's the largest one in Maine, but it's also like the third biggest in New England. So we're hoping that we have a good turnout for that. I'm unsure if I want to compete in it. I'm not overly uh, pushing too much on open tournaments anymore, where it's mostly the different styles and stuff like that. But if I do, it would be the first time I did an open tournament since 2009, I think.
Yeah, and I know there was like the Super Grands like years ago. I mean, that I know that's a big tournament that people
Yeah.
go to. Yeah, I know. Of course, it was always hosted at my hometown, like around my hometown area, mostly in Buffalo. So
Mm.
yeah, I mean, I used to go to those and like see all these people compete, and I know you have to qualify to actually compete in the Super Grands.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's like a big tournament. I wish they still had that, but you know, I guess that kind of discontinued. Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to put on a tournament, it really is. I was hoping that we could do one actually sometime soon, but it's really rough getting everything together and doing a tournament. It's really hard to get people in.
Yeah. All right. So before we kind of get to our hidden dojo segment, here's the last question. What inspirational quote best describes your journey?
Well, I have there's one quote that I picked up in 2019 or 18 with my Sensei Ferdy, my instructor in JKA. He says the enemy of excellence is good enough. So the enemy of excellence is good enough. The just doing your minimum to get by and going like, it's good enough. Uh, that stops you from being your best and stops you from doing your best. So I really stuck with that with training. And when I started JK, when I heard him first say that, I was like, yeah, that speaks a lot to me because a lot of the times I would say that I'd be like, I would do a pattern or I would do a kata, and I'd be like, yeah, that's good enough. I can move on. But if you don't focus on that and critique it, it's going to go down. You're not going to get better. Then you're going to either plateau or you're going to decrease. You're never going to excel. So that really stuck with me.
Yeah, definitely. I can agree with that. You know, how many times I usually tell my students like you need to train on this kata to get better, and then they just do it once, and then all of a sudden, they did forget how to do the kata. So
Oh, all the time. Yeah. Mm.
I kind of find that a little almost not a little irritating, but just like it's kind of like disappointing that you telling them to train and like you always have that one student that always trains and
Right.
they do good in the class, but yet you got the other students that don't see that, and they say like I'm here, I arrived, I mean, I hope I get my next belt, but you're not going to get your next belt if you don't actually improve or actually know your material.
Right. I mean, the effort over everything else. Honestly, it's if you don't if you just kind of skate by with everything, um, you're right. They never see the person training really hard. They just see them perform it, and they're like, "Oh, that's really cool." Uh, but I do as much as he does. Why like in class I do the same stuff he does. How come he's better than I am? They don't understand that the person who's doing that really well goes home and also trains, or comes in early and trains, or stays after and trains. They don't understand that. They just kind of think, well, we do the same thing. How come I'm not like that? And I had that same mindset for a long time, honestly.
Yeah, it's almost like a sort of an envy that really will push them. It's like if I don't have a challenge, then I'm not gonna get any better.
Right. Exactly. That's how I am.
Yeah. Usually, well, for me, I say, don't always go by what you know, go beyond what you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Uh, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached our Hitting Dojo segment of the interview. This is where we get the fun parts of Andrew Evans. Of course, I'm going to ask him 7 questions. He's going to answer them to the best of his ability. All right, so you ready for this?
I am.
All right, the first question is the best piece of advice that you ever gotten and who said it?
Oh, maybe I'm not ready for it. Let's see. The best piece of advice that I ever got was probably, um, man, I don't know. That's rough. I thought about it too. I thought about the best piece of advice I got, because the problem is that every advice that I got in the past, I ignored like an idiot. So it's like, I don't know. Um, I'm gonna go with the most recent one that my sensei Ferdy gave me, which is maybe don't post your sparring videos online if you're hoping to compete, because then
Hmm.
they'll see your stuff. So like when I was younger, I didn't do that well in competition. So now that I am doing well, then I kind of want to show it off, right? But I can't, or I shouldn't. I should say I shouldn't do that, because then other people are going to see how I fight. So it makes sense. So that's probably the newest and the best piece of advice that I've gotten lately.
Oh yeah, that's the advice I heard because
Yeah.
that's like the worst thing you do. You post your stuff on YouTube or Facebook. You're always gonna have that one person that sees you fight, and the next when you're at competition, they're gonna know how to beat you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, so that's why I usually, if I'm gonna film stuff, I kind of keep it to myself. Or and
Right.
then of course, but not like nowadays. I don't care if anybody's better than me. I'm just competing just for the experience.
Right.
Just like most people would just compete just to get their like nerves off. Like they're if you got somebody that's nervous to get in front of people, they would film themselves and then performing, and then next they get these comments from people saying that you did good. That
Right.
gives them that boost. For
Right.
me, I wasn't the person that liked to perform in front of people. But like nowadays, here I am, like I can perform in front like judges without getting nervous, and
Right.
yet here I am, a pro wrestler, and
Right. Right.
I'm performing it from everybody, and I'm
Right.
like more focused on competing in my wrestling match other than worried about the fans. So yeah,
That's a good way to look at it. Plus, you're doing podcasts now too. People are seeing that, so you're
yeah,
really putting it out there. That's really cool.
yeah. So definitely, it's almost like back and forth. Help you get you out there, and then yet kind of learn more about the martial arts world. Yeah.
Yes.
Eh. All right. Next question. Of course, a lot of people don't get this one. The worst piece of advice you have gotten.
Well, the worst piece of advice that I ever got, I do know this one. It is from my original instructor, Sabon Vu. It was because it came with the experience later on. If you train Taekwondo, you'll be prepared for anything. That is the worst thing he ever said. Worst thing. In his unfortunate way of saying it was just like that. If you train Taekwondo, you'll be prepared for anything. And unfortunately, that's a thing that I see a lot of not former students, but like older generation like us. You know what I mean? Like the people who started way back. It was almost like a cult variation of like, here, do this, do this. You'll do this. You'll be prepared for this. You know, you'll be strong and tough and all this stuff. Was perpetuated a lot when from like 80s and 90s culture of martial arts, I think.
Oh, definitely that'd be worse advice. Or less it would be better if it was rephrased like use any martial arts technique that works, then it'll save your life. So yeah.
Right. I mean, he could have made it like, as I said, that the mental aspect of what he was saying with our test is the whole point is like, be prepared, be prepared. So maybe the way that he meant it, because you know he's English isn't his first language. Maybe the way that he meant it was train Taekwondo and you'll be mentally prepared for anything. Maybe.
Yeah.
But the way that I took it was that, you know, you train Taekwondo, you'll be prepared for anything that happens to you. You'll be fine. So that was, maybe it's on me, but that was the worst advice that I took.
Yeah. So yeah, the way you said it, like if you train Taekwondo, it'll mentally get you ready for everything. So that probably the best way to rephrase it. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. Next question. How would you reward yourself? I kind of call this the guilty pleasure.
Like food?
Well, food, like food, vacation. What would be your guilty pleasure?
Well, let's say I'd go with that. Sometime when I was, let's say, a couple of years ago to recently, I would take off time from the school just to go four-wheeling or go fishing or something like that. You know, just a day where, you know, maybe it's been too much, and I kind of, you know, I've been training all week, and I have to go and do a workout class. It's not really martial art related. I'm just gonna go do a workout class. Churn's got it covered, so maybe I'll just go, you know, do my own thing today. I think that would be, it's more of like a turn off. You know, I want to turn my brain off and kind of just do something that lets me go.
Yeah. Yeah, that probably like something I would like to do, like get away from martial arts and like get a workout or something. Yeah. uh, all right. What famous movie would want to be in?
You know, I looked at this question and I was like, there's no current movies that I would want to be a part of. But if they ever made a good Street Fighter movie, I would love to be a part of that in some way. I don't know. I could get a little bit bulkier and do Zangief, but if they made like a good Street Fighter movie, I'd love to do that. Even if I was just like somebody who got beat up by Ryu or something like that, I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, let me get my cosplay on.
Yeah, I saw that. It was good. Yeah, you got the pose and everything. It was good.
Yeah, they don't call me the video game warrior for nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that was fun. All right. What would you say your secret talent would be? Or let me rephrase that. Hidden talent.
Hidden talent. Oh, man, I don't know. You know, when I was younger, it used to be just me being able to wiggle my ears, you know, or you know, dislocating my thumb in and out for the double jointed. But I don't really have any super secret talents. Everything that I did was I had to like work hard to be able to do. You know what I mean? So like anything physical fitness wise or anything martial art related or anything like that, there was nothing that I was just naturally able to do. Unfortunately, everything I had to like break it down to make sure I was able to do it. So I don't really have a hidden talent. Not really, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, I could say my hidden talent is like super healing, like I'm like Wolverine, you know.
Right.
I mean, I heal like pretty much naturally. I mean, other than like wait until like 3 months I heal. I mean, I'm definitely good to walk for like a month. And then of course I'm back to everything else.
I mean, I wouldn't mind having that. That'd be good.
All right. Dream celebrity encounter.
I would love to meet Steven Seagal so I could slap him. I would love to meet Steven Seagal just to listen to him and have the story, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I have like so many people I want to meet. Like, of course, I'm big on Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah. ruining the Street Fighter movie.
Yeah, that Bloodsport, Kickboxer. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, those are good movies.
yeah. Out of his, definitely the I like Kickboxer and Bloodsport quite a bit. Those are good movies.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, met Donald Gibbs from that movie.
Did you?
Yeah, Donald Gibbs that played Ray Jackson.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Cool.
yeah. Oh yeah, I gave him that famous one. Okay, USA.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. Now I gotta go watch the movie after I'm finished with this. Yeah,
There you go. There you go.
yeah. All right. Last question. All right. Future plans. Where you see yourself in 10 years?
10 years. Let's see, be 42. Uh, what I would like is to either branch off and have my own school, um, or be completely affiliated with the U.S. team in some way to either be a coach or to still be a part of it in some way. So ultimately, I would like to have my own school, but I would like it to be a branch of the Tees Taekwondo that we currently have. I wouldn't want to go. I would change the name, but I wouldn't want to be completely separate from my roots. I would say, and I wouldn't want to do that.
Um,
So hopefully, new school or still be a part of the U.S. team in some way.
so hopefully, I think you can still go for the Olympics if you wanted to, right?
Oh, I got a long way. I would have a long way for that. Long way to go.
Yeah, but the thought is always good. Yeah,
The push, it gives me drive. It's good.
yeah. All right. So before we kind of close out, is there any last minute words you'd like to say to the listeners out there?
Yes. If you're listening and you're unsure about martial arts, you should do it. If you're having thoughts about doing it, or if you are unsure or you're scared, it doesn't matter what you want to do. It can be Aikido, it could be Jiu-Jitsu, it could be Karate, Taekwondo, Tang Soo Do, it could be whatever you want it to be, but you should go do it. Because everybody I know who says, I should have done it when I was younger, um, well, it doesn't matter. You're not getting any younger. You should go do it. And if you're young and capable and you want to compete, you should go compete. So grab a martial art, find out what's best for you, and go do it.
Hey, definitely. That's good words to give the listeners out there. It's never too late to join
No,
martial arts.
never.
Yeah. All right. So thank you very much for joining me in this episode. All right. So I'm going to do my little closing before we kind of kick out. All right, everybody. For those who just joined me, please tune into my previous episodes on the bicbpradio.com, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. I'll see you next time for another episode here at the Kickpod Podcast. This is your host, TJ Williams, bowing you